There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Myron, would you mind if I read a Garage Logic related item?
Go for it.
Fred writes, Dear Joe, I am driving 2,000 miles from Coos Bay, Oregon to see you and the boys at the fair. Can Rookie put together a schedule of who is appearing and when so I can choose which day to stop by?
Oh, I love this idea. Yeah.
No.
Perhaps you might have to hand this task off to Kelsey instead. Will Rick from Harlingen, Texas be making a trip similar to mine? He would have to drive 500 miles less each way to see you. I would love to meet him. Thanks, loyal listener Fred.
Oh, Rick.
That's commitment.
Yeah, that is commitment.
Should we tell him it really isn't that big of a deal?
Well, here's what I have right now. I have my requests out. I need to wait for members of a band to say they can come by. So I don't have a set schedule, and the schedule is
about
fluid.
Sourdough Slim? Is he at the fair this year?
I do not believe so. I did not see him on any list. Yeah, I haven't seen him on any lists.
In fact,
he's in that territory where California's burning.
Is he really?
Yeah.
There's two fires,
right,
two big fires.
Yeah, well, Sourdough Slim lives north of Sacramento.
Ooh, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrifying.
What's new, Myron?
I don't know. I was watching Little Twins. We were talking Tiger. I mean, Tiger is shot a 70.
Yep.
He's 5 off the lead, but he's 3 off second place. There's that pack of everyone who's 3 under, so he's even. And I know we talked the other day about maybe him never winning another major, but then you see efforts like today and horrible start.
Bogey double?
Yeah, and you assume it's over. I mean, I was watching the Golf Channel. I thought, this is it. Mm-hmm. We're going to see a disastrous performance and another, optimistic start, and then Tiger just looks like the guy we've seen, the last 4 or 5 years. But this is inspiring, I think. And I think if he comes out tomorrow and he plays the way he finished, he's going to be right there in the hunt.
When he takes that violent swing, I still wince because I think he's going to be clutching his back.
Yeah.
But he hasn't.
No.
He hasn't.
Feels like this surgery has worked. I mean, I think he's had a couple procedures, but
4.
This one's held up better than the rest, but you're always cautious.
Who's on?
Joe, what? Every time you mention
dude
his
listens
name,
online.
He's always listening.
Yeah, but he hasn't called for a while.
You better explain to Myron who he is.
Myron, we have a listener in Harlingen, Texas, named Rick.
Okay.
And I don't know why he why he thought it necessary to occasionally call us, but he's on the line now.
Okay.
Rick?
Hello, Joe.
Rick from Harlingen.
Yes, Joe. This is Rick from Harlingen, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Quite south. I know that.
Are you coming to the state fair, Rick?
I may. I am debating that. I could pack up the RV, and
they have a parking lot for RVs, I think.
Yeah, you'll excuse me. I'm having a couple of almonds, smoked almonds. I am debating whether or not to come up from Harlingen, Texas, and I do usually call you from during the John Height time.
Right.
But I had heard online that you were discussing me as a guest on your show.
No, we didn't offer you any guest position on the show. No. A fellow in Oregon is saying he's driving 2,000 miles to see the show, and he was wondering if you were going to be making a trip because you drive 500 miles less each way.
Well, that is appetizing. I would like to come up from Harlingen, Texas, to see your state fair. Our state fair is rather large,
So is ours.
and ours is very food based.
So is ours.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
I have not attended your state fair.
Is there a reason for this call, Rick?
Yes, and in fact, my friend who lives in Oregon, he had a unique situation some many years ago. Him and his wife, after many years of marriage, had hired a counselor. So they had gone in for counseling. And when the counselor asked what was going on, the wife went into a tirade, listing every single problem they had over the years they had been married, on and on. Neglect, lack of intimacy, emptiness. It was just horrible, and she could not stop an entire laundry list, Joe.
Right.
So he was rather messed up. And finally...
And this fellow was from Oregon?
Yes, this is my friend. I went to high school with him. And after just an overloaded length of time, the therapist got up, walked around the desk, right there in front of the husband and wife. And after asking the wife to stand, he embraced her. He gave her a long kiss.
Really?
And the husband stood there in disbelief with the raised eyebrow. The woman shut up, and she quietly sat down in a dazed. And, man, the therapist turned to the husband and said, "This is what your wife needs at least 3 times a week. Can you do this?" And the gentleman said, my friend said, "Well, I can drop her off here on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I golf on Fridays." This is Rick from Harlingen, Texas, and I will, if I come up to the Minnesota State Fair, he would bring her there. He thought he misunderstood.
I think we get it. Yeah.
So he brought, and then
you could almost say he's more devoted to golf, couldn't you?
One might say those Oregon links are pretty nice out there. Maybe I'll drive up and see you at the state fair.
Well, we'd certainly like to meet you, Rick.
I might have a joke or two.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rick from Harlingen, Texas.
Thank you.
A golf Friday.
Wow. What a lucky guy to play golf on Fridays, though, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Myron, that's Rick.
Okay.
Harlingen. Yeah, he likes to call.
Rick, I'm glad Rick's calls are few and far between, because all he does is call to tell you a joke. He never has anything. You didn't ask him to be a guest on the show.
No, I did not. No,
his name just came up. Some other guy was talking.
But if he makes the drive, we'll bring him up on stage. Well, hell,
it would be fun.
Let's bring a loyal listener, Fred, up on stage all the way from Coos Bay, Oregon.
Yeah, say hello.
He's earned that, right?
Oh,
he's going to drive that far.
I bet we could pick Rick out of out of the crowd, huh?
I think
Probably
so.
has like his vest on, a cowboy hat.
Yeah. How are the Twins doing, fellas?
They just lost 5-4 to the Cleveland Indians. Yep.
In extra innings?
No, they lost it in the 9th.
Another walk-off situation?
I'm just seeing the scoreboard. I don't know how it ended. I was enthralled with Rick's phone call.
Walk-off situation.
I hate that term, but I guess that's the term.
The game was completed with the game-winning RBI. That was the last thing that happened.
Or Cleveland won in the bottom of the 9th.
That's all I got to say.
I asked Tom Kelly, I think it was Wednesday. When was it? Tuesday.
Yep.
If you had to give the Twins a grade, state of the franchise, we all kind of gave our grades.
Mm-hmm.
I was a B minus.
Yeah.
Just
I think that's charitable.
Reuvers, what'd you have? Well,
I think I was
had him as a
C+.
C or
just because of the disappointing fact of they had expectation this year, but I love what they're doing to rebuild the farm system.
Yeah, so if you look at the future too, I mean, you incorporate all that. Mm-hmm. What grade do you give them right now?
C.
Why?
I just don't like teams that fold on August 1st and say, "Well, we'll see you next year."
Yeah,
that bothers me.
Yeah, which is what they've done. Mm-hmm. But the future, if there's a lot of if factors, right?
But you guys are far more up on what they're doing in the farm system than I am.
Well, but to me, it's not even that deep. It's Sano, Buxton, a few other guys who, if they play to their potential, now you're talking about a team that has a strong foundation. But those are big ifs, right?
What did Kelly give them? Or did he refuse
Kelly gave him a C+. Yeah,
I think so.
I believe.
Yeah.
Really?
I think he gave him a C+.
And you gave him a B minus.
Give him a B minus.
There's not much distinction between a B minus and a C+.
True. Yeah, about the same.
B sounds better.
He had an interesting conversation about comparing Buxton and Torrey Hunter, and said they had some similar struggles early on, both gifted in the outfield.
Well, Torrey sure as hell got over his.
He did. But you wonder if Buxton's the same guy.
I don't know. I have no clue. What's your instinct?
I don't think it'll. I think this will be a bust. I think we'll look back and go, gifted, freakish defensively, but just never could put it together.
But here's another good question. I think it's a good question. In modern Major League Baseball, can you afford to have in your 9-man starting lineup a guy who you know will not hit? But you want him because of his speed and his defensive ability. Can you afford that?
I don't, the Cubs had Jason Hayward when they won the series, and he wasn't hitting the ball, but defensively he was just a diamond. But you better have a strong lineup to protect you. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Twins have that. And I think that's going to be a situation with Buxton is everyone's saying eventually, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to figure it out. But I think. How
old is he?
24 will be 25 in December. He'll be 25 later this year.
So there's still time, chronologically.
Yes. But I feel like
you're at your prime as a professional athlete at about the age of 28.
Yeah. But if he struggled this much no one's asking him to be a great hitter. That's the thing. It's not like people are saying just to be a consistent and he can't do it. That's the concern. That should be
and right now he's not playing at all?
No, I think is he out?
Yeah, he's still hurt. I know he's still on the disabled list at AAA, and I know he did not. I don't think he took swings last night, but the plan was to get him some swings and see if he could return to live action.
Return to baseball activity.
Activity.
But that adds to the disappointment, right? I mean, you can't help injuries, but the dual problems.
All right, just a moment. Myron, what's your take on the Vikings' loss of their offensive lineman? His name escapes me.
Nick Easton. I mean,
Nick Easton.
It's because of, Elfline, because we don't know. There's still some questions, but it seems like some of the guys sitting out it's more precautionary than anything else. Mm-hmm. But it's a blow.
Well, you told me the other day that they're going to play at Denver with a half of an offensive line.
Yeah, they're not going to have. You're not going to be able to get a good look. And the big thing with Kirk Cousins, if you look at the biggest problem he's had in his entire career, mm-hmm. I believe he's played with 39 different starting O-lines, like combinations of linemen.
Really?
In his career. And I think when you sign him with a $90 million deal, the hope is you can give him consistency, right? Mm-hmm. That's the goal. So they're off to a bad start. But at least it seemed like before the Easton neck surgery that this is all just precautionary. They'll be right by the season opener. Now they got to go out and look. And I felt like Richie Incognito, who's a goofball, right? Mm-hmm. Classless goofball. Had he not done that, mm-hmm. Had he not made that public uproar.
Say bleep you to the coach.
Yeah, there's a chance if he would have just kept his mouth shut, mm-hmm. they may have been forced to inquire about it. I'm not saying they call him and bring him in because he's got a lot of off-the-field problems, but there's definitely a chance that they would have at least made a call to his people to see, maybe we bring this guy in, and he ruined that. But they're going to have to go out and see if someone's out there and bring him onto this line, because I feel like if you're the Vikings, you got a window. You sign Kirk Cousins to a 3-year deal. You're chasing the Super Bowl in this 3-year window. Nothing else matters. And your offensive line not being healthy and potentially having to shift people around is not going to help him.
Have the Vikings released any offensive linemen that they would bring back?
It's a good question. To my knowledge, they've got, I don't know if there's anyone significant they've released. Mm-hmm. They've got the undrafted guy. I can't think of his name right now. They've got some pieces that they've been using with Elfline and with Easton, with all these guys hurt. But the idea is that they would be healthy in week 1. Now, without Easton, they're going to have to fill in for depth purposes. They're going to keep moving pieces around. And that's the kind of thing that, I don't care how ambitious they are, how talented they are, that's the kind of thing that makes a team unravel. If they can't give Kirk Cousins consistent protection, if that's a problem this year, I don't care about Dalvin Cook coming back, the Thielen and Diggs and all these other pieces they have. If they can't protect him, mm-hmm. They're going to have some problems.
Did that contract make him the highest paid quarterback in the league?
I believe if he's not one, he's top 2.
So either be him, Brady, or
I think Jimmy Garoppolo's actually up there. Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers is about to get his new deal, mm-hmm. and he'll be the highest paid player in the NFL, and it won't be close. But that you pay that kind of money, and it's guaranteed money. Mm-hmm. and you were in the NFC Championship game last year, you are chasing a title, and you got to keep him protected.
What's your knowledge of Cousins? Were you a fan of this signing? Did you think he was worth that? Is he the guy that can win you a Super Bowl?
I mean, he had the nearly 5,000-yard season, and I think that was kind of proof of how good he could be. I think you're dreaming if you think he's going to do that again here. Mm-hmm. I think you're dreaming if he's going to throw for 4,800, 4,900 yards. But I think it'll be interesting to see a guy like that with those weapons. Case Keenum is a solid quarterback, and if you told me that Kirk Cousins just duplicates what Case Keenum did last year, you're going to have a pretty good quarterback. Say what you want about Keenum being a fluke, but I think you give Cousins these weapons, and if you can protect him, he might be able to do some special things because he's a better quarterback. He's just at a different level than a Keenum. But, there have been other guys in similar situations, and it hasn't panned out. But he has no excuse. He has every piece, and if this defense stays healthy, and some of these key pieces on offense stay healthy, there's no reason that the Vikings shouldn't be a team that, to me, is number 2 in the NFC, maybe number 3. They're in that conversation, certainly.
Will
to make
Cousins
run.
play any Saturday night?
I think Zimmer said he will play as long as the starting offensive line is in, or the starting unit's in, but who knows what that is.
Yeah.
They're not going to put him at risk, They're not.
Is there panic out there right now?
No, I don't think there's panic. I think there's concern. I would say there's panic because it's the Vikings.
No, I don't mean the fan base. I mean, is there panic at the practice facility, at the corporate headquarters?
Because of
losing Easton?
I think there's panic. There's not panic with them because, again, Elflein's coming back, and they've got pieces who will be healthy who are sitting out as precautionary measures right now. But I think Easton is a blow. Losing him's a blow, and they're going to have to get out there. And again, Richie Incognito's a goofball, right?
Right.
But I could see a scenario if he were smart.
Remind us of why Incognito came to our attention for being a goofball.
Well, he went on TMZ and said, I've been contacted by the Vikings.
No, prior to that, wasn't he involved in a
bullying?
Case?
Bullying Jonathan Martin in Miami, and it was a whole big deal. He got suspended. He's had other issues. I mean, he's been in bar situations, and most recently this offseason, some guy called the cops and claimed he was throwing dumbbells. Incognito's picking up dumbbells in a gym.
Must be
and
strong.
tossing them at him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of off the field drama.
Maybe he's been hitting the head too much.
It could be, but he has definitely been a guy that you can't trust. But he's a great talent is no question.
And he's an offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman, there's no doubt about his talent. It's just all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So Tony Sperano called me and put out these text messages that didn't even prove anything. Mm-hmm. There was no evidence that Tony Sperano promised him something.
Right.
But now they're in the position where if you're the Vikings, you're not going to call the Incognitos, but you hope to get someone who might be out there floating around who has that potential to help your offensive line.
But you're reasonably certain it won't be him.
You can't. He's burned that.
He burned the bridge. He blew up the waterfront.
Yeah, I don't think he just burned the bridge with the Vikings. I think he burned the bridge in the NFL because I think Zimmer is respected. Mm-hmm. I think Sperano definitely is respected.
And he died.
Just died. So for you to mention his name, I don't see Richie Incognito ever playing in the NFL again. He's 35. He thought about retiring.
Yeah.
But if there was any hope, it's over after what he did.
We're going to be back in just a moment, but now thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now.
You'd think a guy named Incognito would know how to keep a low profile.
You would think so.
Well, apparently not. It doesn't work that way. We are looking at a mostly lower close for the major stock indexes today, despite another round of mostly positive corporate earnings reports. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 74 points to 25,509. The NASDAQ Composite did gain 3 points, and the S&P 500 fell just 4. More changes are coming at Chipotle Mexican Grill. The fast casual chain said it is expanding its 10-restaurant test of build-your-own nachos to full market tests in Minneapolis and St. Paul, as well as Denver. The tests are part of Chipotle's effort to be more culturally relevant. Samsung unveiled its newest flagship device, the Galaxy Note 9 smartphone. It looks a lot like last year's model, as Samsung has taken a more cautious approach to radical new technologies in the wake of the big recall 2 years ago of Note 7 phones due to overheating batteries. The biggest change to the new model may be the S Pen stylus, which is Bluetooth enabled, meaning users can execute certain commands while standing as far as 30 feet from their phones. I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now on 1500 ESPN.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. We're going to let you go. Check traffic here. We've got some drama around town to talk about. This one's sponsored by your locally owned Domino's. First of all, hearing rumors of a wreck inbound 394 prior to downtown, trying to confirm the details on that. All of the cameras are out there. We do have a pair of wrecks northbound 35W, both of them slowing the flow, one on the left at 280, the other on the left prior to County C, so be ready for delays there. Introducing Domino's Hotspots. Get pizza delivered to outdoor locations like parks, beaches, and more. Not at home? Not a problem. Visit Domino's.
Here's John Hyde in the newsroom.
Thank you, Joe. Partly sunny. We're up to 89 degrees now. The Twins, they lose again in a walk-off. The final 5-4 Indians.
Is that their 9th this year?
10th. Last night was the 9th. Wow. The Twins had been down 4-0 in the ballgame, fought back, and finally tied it on a 3-run Jorge Polanco home run off Corey Kluber. It was 4-4 going into the 9th, but the Indians scoring in the bottom. So the Twins lose 5-4. They move on to Detroit to play a 3-game weekend series against Ron Gardenhire and the Detroit Tigers. Lynx are on the road tonight. They're in Las Vegas to play the Aces. Ricky Fowler in the lead at the PGA Championship. He's at 5 under, and a host of folks are at 3 under.
John Daly's doing okay, isn't he?
I didn't see the number. I don't know.
I thought he was.
Sure.
He was
Daly's in the
even.
mix?
He was in the. Yeah, he was in the mix.
He was just here at the 3M.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Was he selling clothes out of the parking lot? Or was
He wore funny pants.
Okay.
Yeah. News notes from today. Local developer Alitus announced plans this week to go ahead with the construction of that 40-story luxury residential tower on the 200 block of Central Avenue Southeast in Minneapolis. Court records show the Minnesota Supreme Court on Tuesday denied a petition filed by the Neighbors for East Bank Livability seeking to stop the project. A release from Alitus said the project will include 214 condominiums. A name for the development is expected to be announced on October 4th. Dining and retail will be located on the ground floor. What's there right now? A parking ramp? I'm trying
to picture it.
I'm trying to call it up on the map. It's between a university and the river. And
isn't that right around the 200 block of Central Avenue Southeast?
Yeah, they're on the east side. There's, according to the map, there's no buildings on the east side of Central there.
Huh.
Parking lots. Canterbury Park's $400 million redevelopment project overcame its final hurdle last night. The Shakopee City Council approving a tax increment financing package to fund new roads for the project and other infrastructure improvement.
I drove by there last night at about 11:45 and the lights were still on.
Really?
How late do they race there on a Wednesday night?
No idea.
Were you trying hard just not to go home?
More importantly, why were you driving by at 11:45?
Kicked out of the house.
Yeah, I know. She finally wised up. No, we had a baseball game down in Faribault last night, and that's my route
why
home.
don't you tell us a town ball story?
Shut up, John.
Yeah, you got any good town ball stories?
Did you get thrown out? Did you argue with the
Yeah, no,
Get
not
hit
really.
by a pitch?
I did get the...
Hey, is the beer show tonight?
Yes, it is. 6:00, sir.
Yeah. Tell Fratelloni to call me. I got a beef with him.
What'd you break now?
Well, I'm in the club, whatever they call it, points, rewards, or whatever.
Yeah.
Ace Rewards.
Yeah. I haven't gotten a coupon yet. Nothing.
Send it to me all the time.
I got 2 of them last week. I used one already.
I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm sure it's on
thing.
Fratelloni's side, the air, not yours.
That's Fratelloni's problem. It's not my problem.
Construction of Canterbury Commons, a gated luxury housing complex. Some businesses, when they see you coming, Joe, do you get the feeling that they charge you a little bit more than everybody else?
They brought up the address and said, "Oh yeah, we got you. You live in Minneapolis, right?" I said, "No, I live in St. Paul." Well, that's one reason I'm not getting anything.
Somebody else.
Somebody in Minneapolis is getting all my free stuff.
Somebody punched that in the wrong way.
You're over there on 5th, aren't you?
Yeah.
Construction of Canterbury Commons, a gated luxury housing complex at the
618,
racetrack, is expected to begin
He's going to stab
this fall. President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says he's more optimistic than he has been for weeks that a potential interview between the president and special counsel Robert Mueller might occur. When asked what the odds were of an interview, Giuliani said, "I'd say 50-50. While the move may be seen as a PR stance to make the president look more cooperative, Giuliani says he expects a response from Mueller to their latest counterproposal no later than next Monday. Giuliani would not discuss exact details of the counterproposal. Negotiations into a possible sit-down have been ongoing for several months. NASA managers have cleared the $1.5 billion Parker Solar Probe for launch early Saturday on a mission to, in their words, touch the sun. The spacecraft will repeatedly fly through the sun's outer atmosphere to find out why the blazing corona is millions of degrees hotter than our star's visible surface. The probe's instruments will also map...
Because it's the sun.
Right.
How will this thing not melt?
That's a good
What
question.
the hell?
What do you think it costs?
Can we get our money back? Is it too late?
You know that oven hot pad that they sell?
Yeah.
It's just covered in that whole material all the way around, so it can just...
The probe's instruments
Is
also...
it checkered? It's kind of a
Yeah,
checkered one.
and it's got the sticky stuff in case you want to pick something up, like pick up some solar rocks or anything like that.
The probe's
Solar rocks.
Are you high?
No, I'm just high on life, Kenny.
You know what? Why not?
Well, why not? At this
Why
point,
not?
you know what? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. There's, yeah.
The probe's instruments also will map the
I asked
sun's...
Joe why he had the TV on earlier in the show today.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? At this point?
Have you cracked open the Luckies yet, sir?
No.
Maybe this weekend.
Maybe.
Probe's instruments will
Something's
also...
going to get cracked, I'll tell you that.
will also map the sun's powerful magnetic field, as well as the torrent of electrically charged particles that are constantly blasted away into space in explosive outbursts.
Is all of that bourbon gone? Why not?
The goal is to understand and be able to predict the behavior of the solar wind that triggers displays here on Earth and occasionally wreaks havoc with power grids and satellites.
Didn't know I could drive a bus.
Right.
Yeah.
JCPenney is expanding the baby products it sells at stores beyond clothing as the department store joins other chains trying to claim some of the Babies Are Us sales that are up for grabs. The Plano, Texas-based chain is opening baby shops in 500 stores that are near now shuttered Babies R Us locations. That brand closed the rest of its more than 200 stores in June after its parent company, Toys R Us, filed for bankruptcy and liquidated its business. Starting August 30th, JCPenney will sell in-store items like cribs, high chairs, strollers, and car seats that it had formerly sold only on its website.
What about slacks, John? I need some slacks.
Slacks? Boy, there's a word you don't
Right next to the Davenport, Grandpa.
That's what Such wears. He calls them slacks. I've decided I'm going to move into slacks.
I call them pants.
I'm done
I
with
got
blue
pants
jeans.
on.
Kenny, I don't know if you heard it
Wear
earlier,
some nice
but
slacks.
the mayor was discussing a very hot topic, and he didn't know what side to choose because for kids, he was anti-Crocs, but as an adult, he is pro-Crocs.
If they're good enough for George W. wearing dark socks, they're good enough for me.
I think you've got it backwards. Crocs are not for adults, especially not male adults.
Oh, yeah, I like to wear my Crocs. I wear them sometimes when I go clubbing.
That's the problem.
He wears them with his socks pulled up to his knees.
black socks.
How's the drooling been lately, Such? You get that under control
It's
again?
pretty good lately.
That medication's working out?
Well, I keep some napkins handy.
Okay, good.
South Carolina police say a woman who sped through a stop sign and was slurring her words allegedly used her race, intelligence, and cleanliness as reasons she shouldn't go to jail.
No-go zone.
Nope.
Yeah.
32-year-old Lauren Cutshaw was charged with a number of offenses, including drunken driving, speeding, and marijuana possession after an early morning traffic stop in Bluffton, South Carolina. Her blood alcohol level, 0.18. During the course of the arrest, Cutshaw gave a number of reasons why she shouldn't be jailed, some of which were used as evidence of her intoxication, according to police. Among the statements she made to police, she said, "I'm a very clean, thoroughbred white girl." She said,
What? Okay.
She says she was a cheerleader and in a sorority.
Oh, okay.
She goes to jail for that.
At this point, are you walking backwards or do you turn your back on her and run?
Now, remember, this is a 32-year-old woman also, not a...
So she's bragging about her accomplishments in college.
Yep.
Just reading off her resume. That's all.
She also pointed out that her partner at this time is a police officer.
Oh, that'll get you far.
Everyone probably uses that, right? I got a friend,
Yeah,
a family
and they
member.
already know all about her.
Everyone always says that, right?
She said she had good grades, was in the National Honor Society, and graduated from a highly accredited university.
Is she running for prom queen? Like, what is she? What's all this for?
She's not hard on the eyes.
But imagine spending your existence with this woman.
Well,
at the police
that's
station.
why it says her current partner. She's
that's a good point.
At the police station, Cutshaw allegedly used her race and cleanliness as another reason she shouldn't go to jail. An officer who was also white questioned why that would even matter. She replied, "You're a cop. You should know what that means." She also said the officer should know her meaning based on the people that come here in this room. A dash cam video of the arrest shows her begging not to be jailed and calling herself a pretty girl.
God, she was hammered, huh?
Cutshaw told police she drank 2 glasses of wine.
Sure.
When asked how full the glass
was. 50-gallon drum.
You're right, yeah. Out of the Kent Herbeck 64-ounce plastic.
Is that South Carolina? Yeah. Well, glass means bottle here. That's a different.
Right.
She said when asked how full the glasses were, she replied, quote, "I mean, I was celebrating my birthday." During the arrest.
So she's throwing a birthday in.
Yeah, so there were big glasses of wine, obviously, is what she means there. During the arrest, police say they also found marijuana and rolling papers in the car, and Cutshaw admitted that she, quote, may have smoked some marijuana earlier.
No, she was partying.
In the evening.
Yeah, she was partying.
Yeah. Took a little to the reefer on her B-day, huh?
She was hopped up on the pot, Matthew.
Do you have more of this type of news, John?
Certainly.
Are so predictable, Such. Oh my God!
What?
Oh, we were just blessed by another Souchere story, and I'm telling the fellas, he's never not Joe Souchere. He doesn't go home and act like a normal guy. He's Such at home.
What did I do now?
He's always on.
Well, I was telling the fellas, we're talking about old cars, and I reminded the fellas.
We were talking about airlines that have to stop 5 times on the way to L.A. to refill their gas tank because there's a leak in one of the tanks. And that moved on to a story about you.
When I rolled up in the, remember the old ML320 I had, that white Mercedes?
I'll never forget it. It was leaking gas.
And I was telling these guys, I rolled up for the first time that I had it. I rolled up in your driveway. I said it took him 0.38 seconds to come out of the garage and go, like a drug-sniffing dog. I smell gas. And he said he was on his knees under the car going, "You got a gas leak. Get this thing off my driveway."
Bleeper. The bleep out of here, you bleeper. I got one of my best flashlights. I crawled under there. I found it within 5 seconds.
Yes, you did.
I said, "Get this damn thing out of here before it blows up."
But he said, "Do you know that you have a gas leak?" I said, "Yeah, about 8 weeks ago I learned that."
The only thing that would have made that better.
You know how he was handling it? He only filled the tank halfway. Don't get it fixed, Myron. Just fill it halfway. Just stay below the hole in the tank.
Problem solved.
It worked until I came to one.
That works until you stop and it sloshes out.
As Kenny mentioned, you park on a hill.
Yeah.
But the only thing that would have made that better is if Rook had a cig dangling from his leg. Where is it down there?
Gas leak.
Oh my God!
You have
this bleeper out of here, you bleeper.
And I did try to. Do you know you have a gas leak? I'm like, oh no, I didn't know. What's going on?
Help me out, Uncle Joe.
It's covered on the floor.
Okay. Yesterday in Duluth, a slight error on the part of the vice president.
The home of the National High School Hockey Champions, Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs.
Hey, Mikey! Wrong school.
Somebody gave him some bad.
Well, they're not really a high school. The Duluth Bulldogs.
That's what you get for pandering.
They're a college.
They'll read anything you hand them.
Right.
Yeah. Vice President was in Duluth stumping for Pete Stauber.
Who put a question mark in the
He'll
teleprompter?
read anything you put on that thing.
4 decades ago, before Aerosmith was selling out stadiums, the band was traveling New England and trying to become a household name. Band members rode in a 1964 International Harvester Metro van with a cartoon man on the side and Aerosmith painted in bright colors.
How many STDs are ravaged through that van?
Let's pull the shag carpet, okay?
Now listen to this. Those creeps from American, what is it?
Pickers?
Yeah,
American
those
Pickers have
creeps.
found it. The hosts,
I'm not buying this story, by the way, but go ahead. I'll tell you why in a moment.
The hosts of American Pickers say the van had spent years in the woods of a small Massachusetts town after being abandoned in the 1970s. In an episode of the show that aired last week, hosts Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz visited Chesterfield, about 100 miles west of Boston, to inquire about the van. They found the vehicle with tires flat, a door missing, the paint rusting off. Still, Wolf and Fritz, who searched the country for valuable pieces of American nostalgia, were willing to pay a pretty penny for the rundown van. Wolf saying it's a piece of American rock and roll history.
He paid like $25,000.
How do you know?
He paid a lot.
A lot, yeah.
$25,000. How do you verify that?
The story,
DNA testing.
Well, they here's how they verified
with photos, I'm guessing.
Well, it sat near a house. The property owner, identified only as Phil, said it was on the land when he purchased it. The tale of the van hasn't been confirmed. It's unclear when Aerosmith abandoned it, but knowing members of Aerosmith were Massachusetts natives, Wolf and Fritz thought they could connect the dots. To verify, they tracked down Ray Tabano. Ray was a founding member of Aerosmith who quit in 1972, but he was in nearby Stockbridge at the time. He was able to confirm that their find was indeed the original Aerosmith van. When he got there,
and he really needed the $25,000 apparently.
When he got there, Tabano reminisced about what he called the rolling hotel that transported the band between local shows. He said, "I just flashed back to when we started the band," after laying his eyes on the van. He said, quote, "This is it, baby," when he took a look inside of the van, recognizing the carpet on the ceiling falling off just as it had been back in the 70s. He shared an old photo of himself in the van and recreated the image on American Pickers. Tabano played with Aerosmith from 1970 to around 72 and said the van reminded him of humble beginnings. The new owner, Phil, was willing to part with the van for a price. American Pickers, as Kenny said, paid him $25,000 for the van.
Why don't you believe it, Joe?
Well, first of all, they didn't find it. They got a call.
Right.
And so it was all a stage.
Oh, that show is 100% staged.
Yeah.
They don't drive around picking.
No, it's all prearranged.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so somebody called them or their production office.
Yep.
So they didn't stumble on this thing. I question whether it's worth $25,000.
These guys.
Why is that?
Well,
the worth of the vehicle isn't that, but it's the nostalgia part. That
$25,000 maybe if it was the Beatles van.
Well, Aerosmith's a big deal.
I bet they've got some people who'd pay.
But the problem is if you do pull all the interior because it's wrecked and soiled and put new stuff in it, it doesn't have it's new. It's not their old van.
These two have ruined it for everything.
Yeah.
You can't buy anything anymore for a decent price because of these two clowns. Seriously. Anvils, you used to be able to buy for $2 a pound. They're now $5 a pound, and they're not purchased by people that use them. It's purchased by collectors who are going to sit around for 5 years and then sell them for $10
Let's
a pound.
ask someone.
You bastards.
Rook, how is the market at the junk bonanza in Shakopee every year now?
Anvils are on fire right
Yeah.
All that
Kenny,
old
I got
Kenny,
4 of them.
Have you followed the Jerry Seinfeld story on how he single-handedly ruined the market for Porsche 356s?
because of that one pile of
Paid
crap.
about $400,000 for a rust bucket and said, "No, it runs. It's an original." Yeah, well, you've just ruined it for the rest of us, pal, because you just upped the price.
In my fantasy world, these two idiots actually do go out and cold pick, and they pull into my driveway. Oh, that would be fun.
What do you think it should be, Joe?
What?
Pickers. American Pickers.
What do you mean, what do I think it should be?
How would the concept of that show work? What should it be? We talked about it before.
Oh, I can't remember what I thought. I gave up. I don't watch it much anymore. It's just the same.
But it should be, they're always looking for something. It should be, they roll up on a barn and then you go look.
Well, that's what they make you believe. But
yeah,
the
but they got to
producers
set it up. You got to have the camera people there and the whole deal.
Yeah.
What about the market for like a mid-90s Mercedes that leaks fuel all over the place? What would
I know where that is.
Not worth anything.
What about some cruddy little tiny English sports car?
Oh, they're worth a fortune.
Even the ones with no floor.
Only if you get a good one.
Mine. Got a floor.
Missing windshield.
Oh, you can get a floor for them.
You can get a floor.
Trunk that every time you go over a bump, the trunk pops open.
Dang it, I gotta stop again.
It's not called a trunk, it's a boot lid.
A boot.
It's
And
raining.
glove box here requires about 4 different tools to open the thing.
Can you turn on the wipers? No, the electrical system doesn't work. We'll just have to kind of peer through this windshield.
In Glen Burnie, Maryland, a 22-year-old man who went for his driver's test left in handcuffs after the examiner became suspicious about a certain odor emanating from the car. News outlets say the Examiner alerted a state trooper at the Motor Vehicle Administration Office who searched the car. A Maryland State Police report says the search found almost a pound of marijuana in the car.
He had the pot.
He was on the pot.
Pound?
A pound in the car and a scale and more than $15,000 in cash with a handgun loaded with a 30-round magazine. All of this to go take his driver's test.
Well, that's not too smart.
Reginald,
He obviously had places to be.
Was it Nate Newton?
Reginald D. Wooding Jr. of Baltimore did not get his driver's license on Monday, but he did get arrested on multiple counts.
Well, John, that's what's his name? Reginald
Wooding.
Reginald Wooding. Reggie.
John, that was fun, and I look forward to tomorrow.
Thank you, Ken.
In all seriousness. I hope.
What's coming up on the ride, Myron?
Well, we're going to see if this Vikings offensive line is going to hold up. Let's talk a lot about them and still handing out grades. I'm doing this state of the franchise, trying to give grades to every team. So we'll talk Gopher Sports, T-Wolves, give them a grade.
What do you give the Wild?
I feel like the Wild are a solid B.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, maybe that's high. I don't know. It could be high.
Well, they got holes to fill just like the Vikings.
Yeah, I feel like had they been healthy, completely healthy, the narrative would have been a little different with them.
You're really rooting for Tiger, aren't you?
It's not. I'm rooting for the game.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, what would be great is if Tiger made a run, but we were also giving the Spieths and the Dustin Johnsons as much attention, because I think that's what the game needs is who's next. And I feel like golf has done a horrible job of promoting that. I mean, Bubba's an interesting case. He could be the kind of guy that
Bubba's very easy to watch.
You know, but geez, 10 years after his prime, and we're still must see Tiger.
1500 ESPN is KSTP St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's 88.